Let's call this meeting to order. Good morning. It's 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. And this is the monthly meeting of the Sandpoint Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission. We're now called to order in the council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. For the record, I am Chairwoman Ellie Cessnas presiding, and I will note the following people. The following commission members are present. Barry Burgess is here, Kenna Combs, Kurt McAllister, Caitlin Shook, Healy Gray, and Rick Decker. Absent are Karen Wiedemeyer and Mike Lithgow. Missing anybody? All right. Let's head on for our meeting minutes approval. For the first item on the agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the July 9th, 2024 meeting as presented. Haley makes a motion. Is there a second? Caitlin seconds. All in favor? Opposed? None heard. Motion passed. All right. Let's head on to the financial report. What have you got for us?
Oh, just gonna borrow. For the numbers for our Sura public art for downtown is $181,892.09. The northern is $100,675.78. And we're working with Sura on how the report will be viewed. So I did a presentation with them on our 5-year plan that we had put forth. Suggested allocations of downtown expenditure of funds. So you'll notice the report hopefully will be looking a little different on the next meeting.
Are there any questions or comments on the financials?
Do you know the balance of the silver box fund?
It is $1,684.68. Any other questions? All right, let's move on then to commission business, the arts. One is an update on refurbishing the Beanstalk bench at Farm Park.
Okay. Just an update on this. Carol Kowalczyk and her team of volunteers with the
Bonner County Gardeners.
Thank you. Bonner County Gardeners did an amazing job of refreshing the bench. We're so grateful for their volunteerism. They provided the talent and also provided the supplies too. And they did a great job. They had sandblasted the piece down and then went ahead and did this beautiful refresh.
It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great.
Yeah, Carol worked closely with the Parks Department, and they were making sure that there was to keep people off it while it was drying. And she put in quite a few hours to make it look beautiful. So we appreciate that group and Carol in particular for rehabbing that. And it looks wonderful.
Is this one of the projects that Miller Paint provided supplies for, or did she and the other artists provide the supplies?
They provided the supplies.
That's so
So they
generous.
just took care of it all. It's so wonderful to have their support. And this is certainly something that we would hope, can be done for our other pieces. The process would be they would just come to us with a request, and then they would need to sign a city volunteer waiver to be able to do any activity.
The Bonner County Gardeners, I believe, actually funded this project, build the bench. So it's really great that they take the initiative to keep it up. Thank you to them. Any other questions? Let's move on to the update on the community involvement plan for the Paint the Clouds Art Program. All right, so Heather printed out a couple of posters for me, 3x4. I'm gonna get those mounted on foam core and I've also got some ballot boxes on order so that we'll have an easel with the poster and the ballot box and ballots. And we'll have one set up in City Hall lobby for most of the next couple months. And then Miller Paint Bucket also said that they would be willing to have one in their store. So
Nice.
we can do social media and get people excited about naming the plows. So that should be on board probably by the end of next week. Yeah. Any questions, comments?
You allowed to put our ideas in the box?
Sure. No. Should be fun. And then towards the end of fall, I think we will collect the ballots. I'll do them on a spreadsheet and then we can have the selection panel choose the name.
The street guys are really excited about participating in the selection panel. They're like, have you named them yet? We're like, "No, it's gonna be a whole community involvement plan. But I'm like, you get to pick. With the selection panel.
All right. Let's move on then to the approval of the template for art.
So our work team has been meeting 9 o'clock on Mondays and we've been working feverishly on getting a template for a public art call. And the intent of this is to make more streamlined. It's really wonderful for us and also for the internal leadership to have a document that's already established. So I sent this out to all of you guys ahead of time. The X's indicate the components of where things would change. And essentially it would be, title, the project scope. And there's some moments too where some stuff is appropriate and some isn't according to the call. The beauty of a document like this is it could be used for an art call, it could be used for a call for information. It could also function as a call for roster, which I've talked about before. So if we wanted to create a public call roster, we'd have a set of criteria for people to participate to be on that roster, which is a pre-approved process for artists, or we talked about it for education too. In addition, it's going to kind of scroll through here. There's the selection criteria, and this will be the section where everything will be graded according to the panel grading it. So usually there's like 100 points, and then you would break it out. These are the consistent points that we always want to see with any art call in general, but then there would be separate criteria that could potentially be added according to the call. We also have on here, see, just kind of cruising through here, the submissions. Sorry, I already find an extra T in there. The submission area is a pass-fail moment, and what happens is when we do a call, the staff liaison receives all of the submissions. Then being the staff liaison, I would comb through them. I'd make sure that they either qualify or they do not according to the submission criteria. And then from there, I would have everything organized. We'd have our selection panel in place. And then we would also have a grading scale. And the grading scale is brilliant because then you can definitely have a first, second, or third place. The other thing that's also going to be in this call that we're learning from experience, there will be a section where when it gets all the way to council in terms of the recommendation, there will be a period where the council can have an opportunity to have changes where the artist can go back and make tweaks to it, which I think has a lot of value according to what we experienced with the Traverse Park Hall. That one was under a very strict timeline. It was a very kind of unusual piece, but I feel really confident about this document. So I definitely want to get all of your feedback and consensus on this. This will be an actionable item saying that we all agree that we want to move forward with this. What will happen next is it will go to Cheryl who is the Director of Social Services, and she also does all of the contracts from procurement at the moment. And then after that, it will also be going to legal too, and then it will be going to council as well. We hope to potentially have a working copy ready for Silver Box. Potentially in the fall.
Will this apply to murals as well, or is there a separate process for that?
Murals that are part of a project that we're working on, not private, is that correct?
Well, yeah, just if someone wants to put a mural on their own building, I know in the past they've gone through a review process with us. Would it be subject to the same criteria, or would we have a separate procedure?
That's a great question. So the murals are under the sign code. And so that really is governed by that code specifically. And right now, our working document for that is a mural application process, but we have identified that it is a little out of date because it was done in 2019. So that's an additional document that we will be looking at and revising. And in fact, we have a mural application today.
All right, did anyone have any questions or comments on the body of the document?
Great work.
Yes, when we were working on it, we took our experience from past projects, and I think that really, it really helped, to know the foibles and the wins that we had, so we could include that in here.
So what we worked on this last Monday and we're going to continue to work on are the public policies and procedures. The Arts Commission did such an incredible job all the way spanning back from 2016 to 2018. Many of you in the room were a part of that document. So we have a really strong foundation to work off of. And now we have our new master plan, which really kind of was the missing key to getting that up and running. And so we're really excited about that. So we have of course, we have our chapter 10, which governs how we function as a commission. And then the policies and procedures are how we do things essentially. And that can be more of a living document, although it will still be going to council. And then you have all these other wonderful templates will be supporting documents to those governing documents. I never thought I would enjoy building these documents so much, but it's so great to have that rote work. And that means the intent is that there's this wonderful foundation. So if any seat changes, there's a fluid transition with anything. Someone can sit down and know how to function as a commission member or a staff liaison as well.
Right, so if we make a motion today to move forward with this document, that just means it moves forward in the process, not necessarily that this document is finished and completed, correct?
That's correct. It still has to go through all the leadership.
Well, if there's no other questions or comments, may I have a motion to advance this document to the next step?
So moved. I'll second.
Kate motioned and Keely seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion passed.
Well, and if any of you want to help support this process, we welcome it Monday at 9 o'clock. Except for next Monday. We're gonna skip a meeting, so.
Moving on then, we are going to the mural. Recommendation for approval of mural at Vision Mini Storage.
Okay, so we got an application. Here we go. For a mural to be placed on this business. So it's a private business. And they went through the mural application process, which is online, governed by that code. And the applicant is actually David Keys. And he's working with Eric and Corey Donenfield, who own the Division Mini Storage. So they're really excited about this opportunity. They wanted to do something on this wall for a really long time. Kind of see where Division Mini Storage is located here on South Division. And well, and I'll just really quickly go through. This building is a concrete block building that was built in 1970. And what they are going to do, they will make sure that it's cleaned and treated so it can accept acrylic outdoor paint. And of course, this is a private project. We're just approving it. So they're going to take care of all of the elements of that. This is the outdoor skate mural that they will be painting, and Eric Donenfield is going to be painting it.
Eric's he was
That's right. And they did submit it in black and white, but I'm assuming it's going to be color shades. You know, I suppose this is going to count
Yep,
also,
so this will
so
be a recommendation.
we could actually ask them to provide it. Or to,
The biggest thing with murals that we're looking for in terms of recommendation is to make sure that they're not politically divisive or have anything offensive in nature. Because it is a public mural, we're sensitive to making sure that the individual has flexibility on how they want to.
So no big fingers.
Pretty offended by that tree though.
It's pretty scary.
That's great.
I think it's a great location. Mural because it faces the high school, so anything, especially if it is in color.
Yeah.
Anything kind of bright and cheerful. Good place for it. Will their business signs still be like kind of at the top center of that?
It will
image?
be.
Okay,
So it'll be incorporated around the sign.
it designed it well.
It'll be kind of like the sun up there.
because the sign is already there to do any additional applications for that.
That's
Because
correct. This is just for the approved
Precondition.
Yeah. mural.
All right, any other questions on the mural application? All right, then I would like to entertain a motion to move this process to advise recommendation.
The tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister. So let's move to recommend this to approval at city council.
So
Your second,
I'll second.
any seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, motion passes.
Oh,
Okay.
let me see those murals.
All right, on to sure. Number 6, update on call for information, Sandpoint Residential Street.
It's our beautiful branding. This link awareness is still active on our City of Sandpoint website. We have not had any submissions. I know, it's interesting. You just never know, right? And I don't think that's a terrible thing. This was kind of an experiment to see what would happen if you push something out through a survey and through using a Google form, which I think has been a really wonderful process. The amount of time put into this wasn't a huge thing, so I think it's great. We can definitely use it as a tool. What I would suggest with this document that's already established, when you're talking to someone and they start telling a story about their house to you, you can encourage them to, you can send them the link and say, do you mind documenting that on here? And, seeing what happens. And that way it gets formally preserved, if they prefer it, into the museum's archives. I think at this point, we should have a discussion about different ways that we can push it out. This initially was a passive, so we're still winning with it, even though we haven't had any submissions, but I think it's always difficult with surveys to find the secret sauce. There's so many surveys that are out there, tickling people. And even when we do survey engagement here, on a capital project, sometimes we only get 2 or 3. I think historically our dogs park surveys.
Put a dog question in. Put a
Yeah.
dog question in. I
Like,
like
there's like a dog on the front.
Yes. Tell us about your dog and your house history. Yeah, 723 respondents. Oh, yeah, and then about city streets, maybe 70. Yeah,
That's
so I always said add a dog to everything. People will pay attention.
So it's always hard to figure out, what is that perfect way to connect in today's world? And so I'm really open to all of your guys' thoughts. on
Is
it.
there capacity to do a letter writing campaign for it? Potentially, just my thought is like, if you see it, you're probably like, if it's on social media or you see it out and about, it's that extra effort to go through and find the thing that might be stopping people. But if it's a letter that's presented in front of them and it's not asking for money, that'll be a good thing. People are more likely to keep it, number one, and be like, oh, hey, that's interesting. And then they might, just something more personal is the only thing I can really think
So when
of.
you're saying letter, that's like a physical letter
Yeah.
email.
Yeah,
But could you target it? Like to
that's,
specific
yeah,
homes?
so like that would be the idea.
You have a little bit of history on this, don't you? Direct target.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself and making some notes for Katie. It might be cool to put together more of like a package, kind of like we do for our programs, like sign up for a program. Out through the city's website, the e-newsletter, putting it in our monthly newsletter for Parks and Rec programming. We're working on the programming booklet for fall, winter. That would be another fit for it. And then, just gonna pull up the Facebook page to make sure that it's still on there and possibly pinning it to the top.
Okay.
So it's getting like a monthly like ding, ding, and sending it out through our recreation software. We have about 4,000 subscribers on that, so we could
Love that.
try and help spread that information.
Can the city directly connect to people? I'd have to look that up.
Awesome.
By sending a mailer. I remember we were talking about door hangers and you had enlightened us about not necessarily
I
being
think
able
what
to do
it
that.
was is the tree committee have been putting like a neighborhoods brochure in people's mailboxes,
Mm,
and that's illegal.
Yeah.
They weren't able to do that anymore. Don't know that there's anything prohibiting a door hanger.
Okay,
I think it's just the mail.
the mail
That is it.
part. Okay, we'll look into
So
that.
that's, I think, the distinction.
Well, I think the museum could potentially,
Yeah, I think like a door hanger might be more effective if that is. One thing I wonder might be happening with this is we run into a lot with oral histories is somebody shares an amazing story and then you say, oh, would you do a recording of that? That's such an incredible story. And they're like, I'm not important. Like, story is not important and they won't do it, or it takes like some coaxing to convince them that their story is significant enough to matter. So I wonder if that's happening here. It could, I mean, I think for a lot of people, it's a lack of knowledge. They might just not know about the
Yeah.
history of their house, but there might also be people who are just like, oh, it's just this little bungalow, like, it's not that important.
well, and if you had somebody, if we could find a person who was willing to share that and potentially like give an example for folks
Yeah.
to like kind of record it, maybe put it out on social and
We
just
have
be
it as
like,
submission.
highlight a submission and be like, this is all it takes, and make it like what's the word I'm looking for? Make it less scary, essentially. Like it just little tiny stories about that are what we're looking for. Make it not such a big.
I have a question. Forgive me, I haven't really dove deep and looked at this, but does it say anywhere like, or are you looking for facts, like really verified facts on these homes, or can some, like with my family home, we have.
I was just
these
gonna
rumors.
say you have a ghost.
Yeah, we have so many
story.
rumors that are so cool, but we don't know for sure, and I don't know.
I think conjecture is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of still
And it's like-
interesting, like we heard. It, so-
No, we talked about that a lot when we were creating it, and I think we do have. I think it's written in a way that we can say, it'll say, where was your house built? And then it will say, where did you get that information? And that helps us understand, like, did you get it from county records or did someone tell you? Or so that helps us understand what part of the answers might be like verified as factual versus hearsay or something that at the museum, we could go in and try to do research on. So I think it's written in a way that it can accept both
Yeah.
fact and conjecture, rumor, that we could then go investigate further.
Would it be too onus of a project to have, probably would, but, have somebody sit at Farm and Park during the farmer's market and have your laptop and say, do you want to find out anything about your house? I mean, because are the
yeah.
records easily accessible, just to
Oh.
kind of give a start? Would that not work?
As
No.
far as like people wanting more information about their house.
Yeah.
It's not accessible.
Okay.
Not in a way that you can just type in an address and it pops up. Everything. So most people who come to do home research at the museum wind up spending about 2 hours. There, just digging through old files.
Well, then I think, yeah, pointing more towards the museum. And then what about flyers at the paint stores or at?
I
Home
love
Depot
all
or-
of this. Bandwidth would be an issue unless
We
any
all
of
got
you
it.
would take it on and help support it. I can print it out. I can give you
Sure,
the
sure.
materials. We could do a bicycle club ride where we just hang them on all the historic houses. That'd be
That'd be
fun.
fun.
You
That'd be
know,
fun.
I mean, whatever you guys want to do, but I can't be physically doing it.
So we have a guest in the audience, community member Steve Garvin. Steve has comment.
Yeah, I just was wondering, because this is the kind of thing I think you would love to do if you catch him at the right timing in the next issue. For Sandpoint magazine, for the winter issue, Chris having either a sidebar about this with a few house pictures, or even maybe a half or full page, depending on what his editor, space availability is. But that'd be a perfect place to put it in there. It's in the winter when people are not outside doing as much, and it's high quality, and I just think that might be a good way to catch some people.
Great idea.
That's a great idea.
Thanks,
We're
Steve.
working with Chris on an oral history project. Maybe we could talk to him about trying to record a video of if there is like a house that we know is historically significant and we know the owner knows a lot about the house. We could maybe do that as sort of like video interview that could then be turned into an interview in the magazine. That's as an example of what this project is trying to do.
That's fantastic. And you don't have to own the home. If you know of a story about another, you can definitely share it. I do, back to Hannah's point though, I think people are very private and they're willing to share in that comfort environment. But as soon as you stick like a mic in front of them or a formal city survey, it can be a little bit harder. So maybe in the end, if it comes from the museum, it might have a little bit more leg.
I think so.
I think the language on the door hanger too. If it says something like you've been selected rather than like a general invite to everybody. Because if I see that, like, I feel special and.
Your home is amazing. We want to know more.
Yeah.
I like that.
It is really amazing how many people do keep like old photos of their house, or when a house sells, the owner will pass that information on to the buyer. And a lot of that never comes into the museum, I think, because people don't realize that it's significant historically, like on the scale of the city or the county. So a lot of those photos just stay inside the house. And I think that's part of what we're trying to like pull out of people so that we can put them into the general archives.
Steve, did you have another
I
comment?
might be able to be a good guinea pig for, first of all, I live right across from the museum. My house will be 100 years old next year. I have pictures, like 4 or 5 that are in one frame that the previous owner gave me of when it was just a tiny little thing, didn't have the porches, didn't, you know, it was a lot less. I have those pictures. Maybe I could try being a guinea pig to go on and do this.
Wonderful. So and I'm gonna, I like, if someone were to make the door hanger, let's say, and I'm printing it, would I have a few people that would be willing to tool around and put them on some qualifying historic homes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
Like,
Okay.
what's your history? Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
take the
Perfect.
dogs for a walk, it'll be great.
Yeah, and it's something we can continue to do, like each person attacks a neighborhood. And of course, we have South Sandpoint, but I also want us to think about all these other neighborhoods too. And then even out in Boyer area, you know, where you have like these kind of singly pointed out bungalows. Canvassing any of the Sandpoint area.
Any other questions or comments on this? But directive.
Brilliant ideas.
All right, number 7, Community Character Hour Radio Show. The topic, City Beach.
Happy to talk to this one, Hannah.
Okay. Yeah, so we will be doing our next radio show on, what's that, next Monday?
Yeah.
And we will be talking about City Beach. We did City Dock last month, which was really exciting because that's something that was here for like 80 years and no one ever really knew much. So that was really fun to dig into. And now we're kind of doing the opposite. We're talking about a topic that everyone knows about, but trying to find some of those stories that happened long enough ago that might not be remembered. So we're talking about how City Beach was first kind of formally turned into a beach as a recreation area. One of the lifeguards, who is your grandfather?
Yeah, they lit the fire. I didn't know until the Daily Bee put up an article. Dad always said, your grandpa was the first lifeguard. Oh. But he didn't name.
He did way more. Yeah, he really kind of made City Beach what space for people to swim and recreate. And then we'll be talking about the Lions Club and all of the contributions they made with all of the picnic shelters and other infrastructure that has brought us to today.
It's really, there's so many romantic stories about how the community has come together to build what we know of today. And it's always such a great reminder for everyone to remember kind of the roots of it. It's so much fun. And just Hannah and I are trying to be as organized as possible. So we work on it throughout the month. So it feels like it's next Monday, but it's actually the following Monday. So we still but it's been just wonderful. And I love the idea that we're unearthing history that really hasn't been frequently shared.
And the Statue of Liberty. It's a mystery. But yeah, I think this commission probably knows more about the Statue of Liberty than I do at the museum.
Yeah. Well,
They
yeah,
donated it.
so I'm trying to
was in her
remember
yard.
her name, but it's Yard Art that was donated.
Lana Turner.
Thank you. And she apparently was this wonderful character, Lee Turner. And that's so funny. So we're gonna start working on understanding our donation and memorial policies a little bit further, especially when it comes to public art. And so it's funny that our arguably, we have a lot of really important art pieces that are iconic, but I would say the Statue of Liberty has become one of our most iconic art pieces is actually garden art. So
Yeah.
you just never know, but it's really good garden art.
And what an iconic place as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
And I just wanted to say, I love the radio show. I will wake up at 8 o'clock to listen to it, and it's been archived also, so you don't have to listen to it live. You can listen. Any other questions? Well, moving on to historic preservation. Number 8, update on historic summer program.
Oh my goodness, such a fun time. We are so lucky because we have such amazing historic storytellers, but we're very fortunate to have Michael Bigley, who's been doing all of them single-handedly. And this is what happens in life is you have this amazing idea, you have an amazing program, but life gets so busy with everyone, and trying to be able to have the bandwidth of a volunteer base can have its struggles. And So, and we have a lot of people that want to do it, but you know, Friday mornings just don't work out. So it's been super successful. We've pulled everyone off once a month. We've had an average of 12 to 15 people, which I think is a really great showing. Really positive feedback. So we have one more coming up. It's the last Friday of the month, and Michael will be doing that one. I will need someone for the one in September. And then what I would like to do is all get together and let's figure out how we can build that base up so we have at least like 6 different. In that.
If you could organize another training session.
Absolutely.
I could potentially reach out to my folks again and see if there's a pool of folks from my community that would want to
I
try.
love that. And I think winter time is a really great time maybe to train and build up that base and keep adding and enriching to it. So I appreciate that. So I thank you guys so much for the help, and it's such an important community, and everyone just.
Yeah. Number 9, update on Bella Buildings Market Awards through Preservation Idaho.
Hey, so
And they haven't won one before?
they've won, they have won an award, the architects did. I'm trying to remember what organization that was through.
It's in the
There we go.
articles.
Did a little slideshow for y'all. Boom. So, we got a press release here at the city, and the Reader picked it up, the Daily Bee, and then Crim 2 in Spokane. So that was really wonderful to be able to have all of that coverage. The award was given on August 10th, and that was in Pocatello. Unfortunately, this was a busy summer for everybody here in Sandpoint. So Dan Everhart, who is our amazing SHPO liaison, he actually happens to be the liaison for that nonprofit, which is separate from SHPO, it's Preservation Idaho. So I said, Dan, you know us so well, will you say something fabulous on our behalf? And he did, and he put together a beautiful slideshow. So we were very well represented having Dan there. And this is just such an amazing organization. And what was neat about these articles is we put it together in a way that people understood what Preservation Idaho is and all of the history of what has been nominated here, because we do have a rich history of nominations and awards. And it was really fun to pull this one out and celebrate it. And we're so thankful to Steve Garvin and Carrie Logan, who helped support us on these nominations. And I think that was a wonderful example about how community members can volunteer with the commission and work really successfully. Carrie already mentioned she has another one in mind, so.
Just to add to a little bit to that, PI is now 53 years old. We're involved in mitigation, we're involved in preservation projects, walking tours, historic house tours down in Boise. It is statewide. Since I joined their board about a year and a half ago, we now also have Shannon Sardell, who some of you may have met, who's an architectural historian, and she's based in Coeur d'Alene. She's on the board now as well. And the thing is with PI, it is a statewide nonprofit, private. We do have Dan and Joseph Tipiconic Fox, both from SHPO, on our board as well. So even though it's a private NGO, we do have a public-private mix on it. And Dan is wonderful, as you said. Also, just a reminder that we've committed at Preservation Idaho to having either the 26 or 27 Orchids and Onions event in Sandpoint again, which was phenomenally successful last time. We're doing that mainly to bolster the Canada's forthcoming 100th anniversary.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And if anybody has questions or things on technical things like that, Dan is great because he's both SHPO and PI, but also as a Sandpoint resident and PI board member, I'm readily available to try and answer or help. Like in the beginning for this process, you had a couple of questions that I dug into for you and stuff. So please just want to encourage that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The preservation world is pretty small. There's many organizations, so I love it. Thank you. And thank you so much for your help.
Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun putting that application together. And, great, and I loved seeing the all right, any other questions or comments on that? Let's move on then to the update on the 2024 City of Sandpoint Comprehensive Plan.
The moment we all have been waiting for 4 years. The consultant has had 2 children during this contract. So, I didn't see it come to the finish line. And I almost felt like we needed a huge celebration. So it did get adopted. And one of the first directives from council is to look at the downtown area and understanding new design overlays for downtown and understanding a local historic review process. So amazing, right? I mean, we've been working on this initiative for 25 years and as a commission for 2 years. And we have so many wonderful planning documents that help support this as well. So couldn't be happier. Other great news at the city, we have an amazing senior planner and a new associate planner. So we are building up our planning team. And I actually joined the planning team officially, and my new title is the Arts and Historic Preservation Planner, not officer. So I'm no longer wearing a badge. Learning a lot in the planning field. So I'm really thrilled about that. Bill comes from Tracy, California. He has years and years of experience. He's been a director and overseen at over 50 planners, you know, and Radhika is incredible. She's straight out of architectural school and super talented. She's done design work in Dubai and all over. So I'm really excited to work with them. And one of the things that we just have to keep in mind is they're still in the onboarding stage. And when you look at planning, there's short-term and long-term planning. So when we have these initiatives such as design overlays, code change, that's more long-term planning. Short-term planning is processing permits that are coming through for building. And we are heavy in technical permits right now that we're processing here at the city. So we're really looking forward to starting to work towards the directive from council. Probably looking more towards the fall time and into winter to start getting all of that community engagement program going and so forth. So very excited. I'll keep you posted as things continue.
Good. Yeah, I was on the steering committee for the comprehensive plan back in 2019, and I've tried to attend every single meeting, and it's been a long slog, but I really feel great about how our section of the world has been included in the plan. And obviously council is, you know, definitely on board. So happy that that was the focus they took for their staff. So I'm looking forward to it. We just have to remember that it takes time. So
Yeah, we want it done right.
want it done right.
I always say I want everybody to feel happy and everyone to feel like they're winning. So it'll be exciting first initiatives here and big things.
Does this reset the 10 years or should we get started on the 20?
Good question.
Well, and it's so interesting because the comp plan that we're going off of was established in 2009. And you imagine how different Sandpoint was during that time. We were in a deep recessionary period and our whole world changed now. So it's crazy to think. So it's wonderful to have a guiding document that truly reflects the environment that we're currently in.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then I think we've wrapped up our main agenda. We're now calling this the Commissioners Roundtable. Does anyone have any announcements?
Just a quick update from LPO. We just did a wonderful summer camp with the Canada Theater. Had 33, we had 33 kiddos from the community involved who performed live, which was fantastic and amazing. And tonight, actually, we're holding our second night of auditions for Christmas Carol, which is gonna be coming up in December. So ages 8 and up are welcome to audition, and audition spots are at lporep.com.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There's lots of exciting stuff happening.
This week, the museum is working with the Boy Scouts Troop 111. They are celebrating their 90th anniversary. We are working on a booth with them at the county fair where they, so Olivia, our curator, has trained several of the young Boy Scouts to conduct oral histories. They'll be doing little 10-minute recordings with people who stop by. They're hoping for some former Boy Scouts, but anyone is welcome to stop in, and it's a really cool opportunity for them to learn how to ask questions about people's lives and for community members to share their stories. So if you are at the county fair this week, stop by and say hi. They'll be there every morning from 10 to 12.
You get a scout bag?
A little sash.
Anyone else? All right, then we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Great meeting, thanks, guys.